when, not if. And man, let me tell you something. I am so happy to be saying those words, because if you're confused about what I'm talking about, I made a video a few weeks ago titled If, Not When. My mindset has been very much if. If Bitcoin puts in a new all-time high from its 2021 peak, and not when. There's always the possibility of that it was going to happen, but I was never 100% on that. Now I would say when and not if, and hallelujah. Okay. So let's take a look at some things with this. But before we do so, as always, this is not financial advice. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research. I am not a financial advisor. Hop on in, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification button as well. And so let's talk about a few things here. Here's my order of presentation. It's not going to be as in-depth as my if video, because a lot of things have been invalidated. I'm so thankful that they've been invalidated. But I do want to remind you a few things with my price target. I'm going to show my price target spreadsheet here. I want to remind you also of my mindset heading into 2024 and how what has happened recently. It had to happen, and I'm so excited that it happened, because why would it happen? You know, the fact that we might break a Bitcoin all-time high before the halving, that's never happened before. And the fact that it might happen, it's like that's what we needed to happen. Because the normal cycle scenario that I was talking about, that I put price targets for, the scenario where Bitcoin crossed its all-time high about 6 months after the halving, and then a year later maybe peaked and had a blow-off top or something, I just could not see a scenario where we would see something like that happen again. And so what I was talking about is front-running and you know, or not hitting a new all-time high, recession, etc. I'll get into that a little bit more. My bearish scenario on my spreadsheet has been evaluated. I'm going to present a new scenario and then revisiting the DJIA and NASDAQ chart. Credit to the blockchain backer for that. I want to say, if you watch the blockchain backer, he is still he's always going to be one of my top favorite crypto YouTubers, and he's getting a lot of hate right now. I am not on that train. He presented a valid thesis, and his thesis has been invalidated, and I am perfectly fine with that. I love the blockchain backer, and you should too. Okay, so let me exit this. So here's what we're looking at here for the price targets with 2024. I gave you the bearish scenario. And what was the bearish scenario? It was one of these things where looking at the economic landscape, which I presented in my if video, looking at the economic landscape, I just wasn't seeing how we could reach new all-time highs with Bitcoin under a scenario where we have the halving and then 6 months later, Bitcoin crosses its all-time high. I think the end of 2024, early 2025, it's going to get pretty ugly from a standpoint of looking at interest rates and what happens after they lower interest rates. Historically, we enter a recession. I think stocks are not going to do very well. I don't think crypto is going to do very well. And so what would that look like under the bearish scenario is that we would peak. We would have peaked at $53,000 or $38.70 for Ethereum, and et cetera, down the list. And then we would have dumped really hard. And by really hard, I mean a new bear market low, lower than the 2022 bear market bottom of a little under $16,000, that we would go under $10,000 for Bitcoin. And then there's blood in the streets. There's absolute panic. The money printer is turned on. Rates go to zero, and then I'm insanely bullish, more bullish than I would have ever imagined. And at that time, then we would see new all-time highs for Bitcoin, and that might not happen until 2026, 2027. That scenario, in my opinion, is invalidated. I still don't like what I'm seeing moving forward from an economic standpoint. I want to be abundantly clear about that. But we have time now, because of how much we front run this, to potentially reach the normal cycle scenario peaks of $155,000 for Bitcoin, $11,649 for Ethereum, and whatever else down the line. I'm going to be wrong about some things. I'm going to be too low, too high. But I'm probably going to delete this column soon, the red column, or it looks black on the screen for you. I'm probably going to delete that column, or at least maybe I'll keep it as a reminder. I'll move it over to this side. And so I always want to have multiple options in my head. We have a normal cycle scenario, which I don't even want to call it a normal cycle scenario because there is no normal cycle this time around. We have already seen Bitcoin hit $63,000 the day that I'm making this video, this insane day, which I'll show you the chart to show you what I'm talking about here. And so it's not normal. There is no normal. There's no normal. Now I'm here for that. And so a scenario where we would see Bitcoin hit what most people would expect it to hit, $155,000, that's a 2.618 retrace. That is option number one. And option number one being a scenario that we're going to front load really hard and peak in 2024 and not in 2025. I hold a great deal of conviction with that if this is what we're looking at here, 155,000 Bitcoin, that we're going to reach that this year and we're not going to reach it in 2025. It's going to be over by 2025. So that's scenario number one. Now, scenario number two might be exciting to you because, again, I want to have multiple scenarios in my head. And so somebody presented the possibility to me, the question during one of my live streams, what if this is the beginning of a super cycle? Okay, you know, there are people who I know whose opinions I respect who think Bitcoin's going to $600,000. And in my mind, I don't think that's possible. I don't think it's happening, but I would give it an above 0% chance of happening. So maybe a 5% chance for a super cycle scenario. What would that look like? Well, I think we've entered a point of no return with Bitcoin right now, where we're going to enter euphoria, see a peak in euphoria within the next few months. And then whenever we dump from there, from that level, whatever that looks like, when we get back down to the bull market support band for Bitcoin, it's going to be very scary. And we're not going to be able to hold the bull market support band as support, the 20-week SMA, the 21-week EMA. So we have to go up. There's going to be very little chopping. We have to go up, and when we go down, we're going to come down hard. I could see that being the case in the summer. Sell in May and go away is a real thing. I mean, we do have the spot Ethereum ETF deadline on May 23rd. Maybe that's a buy the rumor, sell the news event, and we need to cool off a little bit after that. And then another ramp up in the fall. I don't think the level of euphoria would match the spring, but a ramp up in the fall and maybe new all-time highs for Bitcoin and Ethereum and some other cryptocurrencies at that time. And then super cycle, maybe we're just off to the races after that. Who knows? But I'm trying to navigate things right now. In case you're wondering, today, the day that I'm making this video, has been a wild day. You know, I'm terrified right now at $60,900. We got up to 63, almost 64, about $64,000 for Bitcoin. And then Coinbase went down and we had this big flash crash. Market makers will always win. It doesn't matter. You might win. They will always win. Lots of longs got liquidated. And now we're just, what are we doing here? Are we going to sweep these liquidation lows? Are we going to go even lower? Because we have been scorching hot lately. I actually have the 1-minute chart open. Can you believe that? And so how do we, I don't even know what to say about right now. It's so unpredictable. This is, I've been saying, going to be an incredibly difficult year to navigate. But let me see. I just want to revisit some things here. The bearish scenario is invalidated. So let's take a look at the Dow Jones and NASDAQ chart, because I'm not feeling all that out of the woods just yet when I'm looking at these things. So the Dow Jones, I mean, my goodness, we are right there. This is a weekly candle. And you can see the very bottom of the financial crisis on March 2nd, 2009, in March of 2009, that might be March 9th. I'm pretty sure it's March 9th of 2009. And then we've been pretty much up only except for the COVID crash. We had a bit of a dip here, but then we're bouncing right back. And we are at the absolute top of the 4.236 retrace. We had a little bit of a wick below it. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to zoom in all that much here. We saw just a brief moment above that retrace, and I did have this down even to the penny, and so we've gotten rejected there. I would feel a lot more comfortable right now if we saw just a clean breakthrough this retrace. And so that's on my radar right now. I'm just like, all right, what's coming next? Same deal with the NASDAQ 100, where actually, so this is from the 2000 peak to the bear market bottom, the bottom of the .com burst in 2002, September 2002. And same deal, it's been pretty much up only. So as of right now, with the NASDAQ 100, we are actually above that 4.236 level. And so let's see how long we're going to stay above that. We're above it right now. And again, my fib charts are on the dime. So, you know, it's encouraging to see that. But what are we gonna do here? I mean, this is the NASDAQ 100. It's not the entire NASDAQ Composite Index. There's still some room to the upside for the entire NASDAQ Composite Index. So you never know. But again, I would love to see us break through higher here, and who knows, have some kind of melt up. And not have this be a top, a local top that would then cause crypto to stagnate, because that's very much in my mind as well, that whatever happens, it just has to happen right away. And of course, we have the spot Bitcoin ETF buying that is happening at a very aggressive level right now. So what are you going to say? I've been saying, man, this 2024 was going to be unpredictable, and it has very much shaped out to be that. But in my opinion, I am treating this as if we are seeing new all-time highs with Bitcoin. If you remember my chart from that initial video, we are out of the yellow zone. We are in the green zone. I don't see a reason why we would get stuck in the green zone here. We would most likely go higher, put in a new all-time high, and if we hold that as support, I think we will, then we're going to start seeing alts. It may take a little bit longer because of, you know, the fact that the institutions are buying Bitcoin, but we'll see alts do very well, and alt season may be just around the corner. You never know. I hope that this wasn't the peak. That would be incredibly cruel if 64,000 was the peak for the whole time. You never know. Any of you watching this, you're saying absolutely not. You never know. But gun to my head, with a great deal of confidence, I'm saying we're breaking through Bitcoin's all-time high. Who knows what happens? Who knows the timeline? It's a matter of time. We certainly need to cool off, given the price action lately. And maybe this wick right here that we saw today is enough of a scare for people. You never know. But I'm happy to be along for the ride. So that is all I have for today. Thank you for bearing with me through all of the if, not when everyone else was saying when. I am perfectly fine with the when and not the if. But I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will most certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.